Good evening, I'm Kim Christensen.
And I'm Kyle Clark. Tina Peters is staying put in a state prison in Colorado. The State Department of Corrections tells 9 News late tonight it does not plan to respond to the Trump administration's request to turn over Peters. President Trump has been demanding her release. Peters, the former Republican clerk in Mesa County and an ally of the president, is serving 9 years for a scheme that tampered with voting systems. Earlier this month, the Department of Justice asked to take custody of Peters from the state. Tonight, a Department of Corrections spokesperson told me the state believes that one of those transfer requests is only initiated by the state, not by the federal government. And as a result, the state doesn't plan to respond to the Fed's request to pull Peters out of prison here. Democratic Governor Jared Polis had not answered our questions about whether he was going to bow to pressure from the feds. Polis's silence on the issue angered the bipartisan group of elected county clerks who run Colorado's elections.
His silence is deafening, and it's also offensive. It's deeply offensive to county clerks. It's deeply offensive to the Republicans and Democrats who serve as election judges and actually implement these elections.
If you transfer Tina Peters to federal custody, you are making a statement that elected officials are above the law. This is a very dangerous precedent.
Tonight, Democratic Senator Michael Bennet, who we should say is running for governor next year, weighed in saying that Colorado should not turn over Peters to the feds under any circumstances. Peters' allies have floated an increasingly extreme set of ideas on how to spring her from prison. This week, her attorney endorsed the idea of President Trump sending the military into Colorado to get her out.
Denver's cold weather shelters are open tonight for the first time this season. It'll be a brief stint. They'll close tomorrow morning. 9 News Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin is joining us. It's going to warm back up, and then it's going to get much colder.
That's right. It was chilly today. We started in the mid-20s, warm to the mid-40s. A nice afternoon once the sun came out. The sunrise, the sunset pictures continue to pour in from a really pretty sky over Colorado. We've seen this for most of the week, but now skies are clear, and we're already 18 degrees at DIA, low 30s in downtown Denver. These numbers are going back into the lower 20s. But as Kim mentioned, this isn't the biggest story. We've got cold and snow coming in for the weekend, some of the coldest air of the season, and a chance for snow starting Friday night off and on through Monday morning with potential travel impacts, especially on I-70 on Sunday. Thankfully, the wind has calmed down along the Front Range, still gusty over higher passes. Today's weather system tracking east, the next one on the way from the northwest. We're not going to have a lot of moisture with this, but a little bit of snow in those northern and central mountain locales, a little bit of wind in the foothills, maybe an inch or so. It's nice to see that on the I-70 corridor today, but the big story will be the temperature trend. Very cold tonight into the wee hours of the morning. Coming up, we'll detail the changes for this upcoming weekend. Really cold, but how much snow? I'll have the answers.
We now know a horrific crash that killed 5 people near Franktown came after a carjacking in Aurora. CSP says a 31-year-old man forced a woman out of her car at the 9 Mile RTD station and took off with it about 3:30 yesterday afternoon. Roughly an hour later, investigators believe he was behind the wheel of a Toyota Matrix that went off Highway 83, swerved back onto the pavement, rolled over, and smashed head-on into a Ford Fusion. The driver of the Toyota was killed, and along with another driver and 3 children in the Ford Fusion. 2 teenagers were taken by helicopter to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. So just like that one that could happen at your table on Thanksgiving, or the one you're going to avoid, there's a heated argument happening in Douglas County.
I mean, these people aren't even related. The school district is frustrated with a developer's plan for some land that would be set aside for future schools. Our Spencer Soysher has that.
There's plenty of empty land in the Sterling Ranch development in Douglas County, but there's no shortage of people who live there, ready to argue about what deserves to be on it.
How long has the district had the opportunity to put a district school in Sterling Ranch?
Like I said, that school site was dedicated in 2015, so it took over 9 years.
The Sterling Ranch development in Douglas County was approved 12 years ago, and part of that approval required the developer to set aside land for the Douglas County School District to build future schools. But the developer is seeking approval for a change from the county's Board of Commissioners, allowing a charter school to take some of the land and counted as fulfilling the obligation to build out the schools.
Sterling Ranch promised neighborhood schools. This amendment makes that future unlikely.
Parents showed up to speak against it, saying the amendment shouldn't happen. The promised neighborhood school shouldn't get to accept whomever it wants.
We're giving a priority to all Sterling Ranch families, and then after that to Douglas County families.
Douglas County School Superintendent Aaron Kane is also not on board with the plan. And Commissioner George Teal tried to make sure she didn't get to say why.
I object to having Superintendent Kane speak because her organization has had plenty of opportunities to weigh in.
There was an hour-long presentation that I get 4 minutes to respond to,
I'm gonna
and
ask
now I
for
get
order,
none.
please.
I think the superintendent needs to be disqualified because she failed to allow the board to engage in a point of procedural discussion. I mean, she's shown obvious disrespect and should be excused from the podium.
She wasn't excused, but the vote didn't go her way. The commissioners approved the application 3-0, saying a charter school is a public school.
Well, I will second that motion given the fact that it won't alter the total number of public schools that will ultimately be serving this community.
All right, so another aspect of this is funding. The developer argued that Doug Cove Schools hasn't secured funding far enough ahead of time to build a school there. The district has big concerns with the precedent this whole thing sets. It wrote in a letter to the commissioners that if future developers try similar practices, it would, quote, cripple the district's ability for future schools and students. Spencer Soisher, 9 News.
The head of Colorado's Parks and Wildlife, who dealt with controversy over the voter-required reintroduction of wolves, is leaving his post. Today, the state announced Jeff Davis would step down as director and moved into a senior policy advisory role within the Department of Natural Resources. Davis is leaving the role as Colorado seeks a source for wolves to release into the state this winter. A public records request we made a week ago sought copies of any agreements the state has to get those animals. At that point, they told us they didn't have any. Major General Laura Clellan was named as the acting director. She will step into that role starting Monday.
It'll soon be significantly more expensive for international tourists to visit Rocky Mountain National Park.
The Trump administration announced today they're raising the price for entrance fees for foreigners, arguing they're putting America first. 9 News reporter Rachel Krause has more from Estes Park.
Estes Park is sparkling bright, ready to welcome in visitors to the town and to Rocky Mountain National Park for the holiday season. But new fees for international visitors starting in the new year could impact the economy here. Here, the mountain magic pulls visitors in.
It was absolutely breathtaking. It was just beautiful.
David Delk spent the day exploring Rocky Mountain National Park with his family.
Walking through the parks, just down the trail, I heard language after language. I rarely heard an American accent, you know.
Lynn Menard knows the views are worth the visit.
Certainly are.
But soon it will be more expensive for global travelers to reach these peaks. For U.S. residents, an annual parks pass is $80. Next year, if you're not a resident, it'll run you $250. Don't have a pass and are visiting the U.S., that'll be $100 per person to enter the busiest parks, including Rocky Mountain. That's on top of the standard entrance fee.
Oh yes, and the Rocky Mountain National Park is one of the main draws, of course, for these international visitors. So if these visitors decide to take their dollars elsewhere, that could actually be really impactful, specifically for mountain destinations around the national park.
Menard says the U.S. isn't alone. Other countries charge international visitors extra in touristy spots. She says wealthier tourists will likely still make the trip, but others might turn toward other destinations.
They might well be somewhat concerned because, of course, the increase in that revenue for the national parks isn't going directly to them. So they might really be worried about the international tourists being deterred, maybe looking elsewhere.
While some visitors in Estes say it'll help international visitors pay more of their share like taxpayers do, Delk disagrees.
That's really a shame. I mean, we should be opening up those beautiful parks that are part of our American heritage to people across the world. For us to charge extra money for them just because they're foreigners, that's ridiculous.
Those new fees will take effect January 1st. Menard says they'll be watching closely to see just how much of a punch those changes will pack. In Estes Park, Rachel Krause, 9 News.
The U.S. Department of the Interior says the extra money collected will go back into the parks, but they didn't get into specifics. They also say U.S. residents can get in for free on some patriotic fee-free days. including on President Trump's birthday.